The Garden Home. God made a home for Adam and Eve, and what do you think it was? It was a rich man's garden. Adam was the richest man in the world. He owned the whole earth under God, and he could have everything he ever wanted. Of course, all the earth was a garden in a way, because everything was beautiful and there was nothing ugly in it. The hills and mountains were crowned with trees, the valleys and meadows were covered with grass and flowers, the brooks and rivers ran with clear sparkling water. The sky was blue and the sun shone, and at night the moon and the stars came out. The animals were gentle, the birds were tame, the fishes would swim in your hand. There was food for the taking for man and beast, and bird and fish. And everything was just lovely. But still, God made a garden eastward in Eden, and he put the man and woman in it. And he told them, "This is your special home. Keep it carefully. Plant the seeds that will grow food for you. Train the vines to make houses for you. Space the trees that will give you fruit. Listen to the birds sing and talk to the animals. Go hand in hand wherever you are. Work together and play together and talk together and sing together. And when I come down in the cool of the evening, come and tell me what you have learned that day." So Adam and Eve went out to do what God had told them to do. When the birds sang, they sang back. When the animals talked, they talked back. For though the animals did not use human speech, Adam and Eve could understand them. And when the flowers smiled at them, they smiled. And when the vines curled their tendrils around their fingers, they lifted them up and trained them into bowers. When the trees softly rustled in the breezes, Adam and Eve listened, and they said, "God is whispering to us through the voices of the trees." And I think God said to them, "Now, this is your schoolroom, and all you see are your school books. Plant and flower and vine and tree and insect and fish and frog and bird and animal and sun and moon and star. Even though you may not see me with you sometimes, all these things I've written on the face of nature will tell you more and more of me." Then pretty soon God gave Adam an examination. It was just as much an examination for Eve, because mostly what he knew was what she knew, and what she knew was what he knew. Well, this was the examination. God brought the creatures one by one before Adam, and he asked him what each one was. How could Adam know? Why? Because he could read God's thoughts written on nature. When God spoke and made an animal or anything, that animal or other thing looked just like what God said. So since Adam could read God's thought, when he saw the animal, he called it just what God said it was when he made it. So suppose God brought a horse and said, "Adam, what is this?" Why, Adam said right off, "Horse." Only he didn't say horse because that's a word in the English language, and there wasn't any English language then. But Adam said it in the language of God, just what the horse was. And God said, "Right." Then say he brought a dove and said, "Adam, what is this?" And Adam said, "Dove," or whatever it was in God's language, and he was right again. So Adam went through the whole list, and he was perfect. And Eve was perfect too. That examination was just for fun, for they never gave a wrong answer. So they went to school in the Garden of Eden right there at home, and the angels came and taught them. And God himself came down in the cool of the evening and walked and talked with them and taught them. What a perfectly perfect school. These are lessons that our children need to learn. To the little child not yet capable of learning from the printed page or of being introduced to the routine of the schoolroom, nature presents an unfailing source of instruction and delight. The heart not yet hardened by contact with evil is quick to recognize the presence that pervades all created things. The ear, as yet undulled by the world's clamor, is attentive to the voice that speaks through nature's utterances. And for those of older years, needing continually the silent reminders of the spiritual and eternal, nature's teachings will be no less a source of pleasure and instruction. As the dwellers in Eden learned from nature's pages, as Moses discerned God's handwriting on the Arabian plains and mountains, and the child Jesus on the hillsides of Nazareth, so the children of today may learn of him. The unseen is illustrated by the seen. On everything upon the earth, from the loftiest tree of the forest to the lichen that clings to the rock, from the boundless oceans to the tiniest shell on the shore, they may behold the image and superscription of God.